The morning of May 22, 2025, dawned heavy over Manhattan. A palpable tension filled the air around the federal courthouse. This was the day Scott Mescudi, known as Kid Cudi, would testify against Sean "Diddy" Combs. The charges were serious: racketeering, sex trafficking. Combs, arrested in September 2024, maintained his innocence. Outside the courthouse, a media maelstrom was in full force. Satellite trucks lined the streets, reporters pressed against barricades. Each camera flash was a tiny explosion of light, capturing the nervous energy. The world watched, hungry for details, for drama, for justice. Inside, the atmosphere was no less charged. The courtroom itself was a pressure cooker. Every seat in the public gallery was filled. Lawyers whispered in hushed tones, their faces grim. Court officers stood stoically, maintaining order. The defendant, Sean Combs, sat at his table, a study in forced composure. His empire was crumbling, his legacy tarnished. Kid Cudi was not just a celebrity witness, he was someone who had allegedly been directly targeted. His testimony promised to connect dots, to illuminate dark corners of Combs' alleged reign of intimidation. The world waited for the truth to be spoken under oath in this solemn chamber of law. The heavy courtroom doors creaked open. A figure emerged, flanked by security. It was Scott Mescudi, Kid Cudi. His usual confident stage presence was gone. In its place was a man visibly burdened. He walked slowly, deliberately, towards the witness stand. His eyes scanned the room with a mix of apprehension and resolve. The silence in the courtroom was absolute. This was not a performance. This was a confrontation with a painful past. He wore a simple dark suit. It seemed to hang on his frame, as if the weight of his impending testimony was a physical force. He avoided looking directly at Sean Combs. Instead, his gaze often fell to the floor, or towards the prosecution team. The media sketch artists in the front rows furiously moved their pencils, capturing the tension etched on his face. He was a musician known for his vulnerability in his art. Now that vulnerability was on stark display, raw and unfiltered, in a federal courtroom. As he settled into the witness chair, Cudi took a deep breath. The air around him crackled with unspoken fears and anxieties. He was about to recount events that had haunted him for over a decade. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?" The court clerk's voice was formal, devoid of emotion. Kid Cudi placed his hand on the Bible. His voice, when he finally spoke, was low, almost a whisper, yet firm. "I do." A slight tremor ran through him as he uttered the words. The oath was taken. There was no turning back now. The prosecution began its direct examination gently, easing him into the narrative. They started with his background, his career, his connection to the music industry. These were simple facts designed to establish his identity and credibility. Cudi answered clearly, though his nervousness was still apparent. He clutched his hands together in his lap. He occasionally glanced towards the jury, his eyes pleading for understanding. He was not a seasoned witness. He was a man reliving trauma. The prosecution guided Kid Cudi back to December 2011, a specific incident, a violation of his sanctuary. Cudi testified that he returned to his Hollywood Hills home to find it compromised. Someone had broken in. Nothing of significant monetary value was stolen. Instead, the act felt personal, designed to send a message. His dog, a beloved companion, had been locked in a bathroom. The animal was terrified but unharmed. The act was cruel, a clear signal of intrusion and dominance. He explained how he learned of the break-in. It wasn't through a police report initially. It was through Capricorn Clark, an employee of Sean Combs. Clark had informed him. This detail hung heavy in the air. Why would Combs' employee be the one to tell him? The implication was clear. The fear he felt that day was still palpable in his voice more than a decade later. Section 5. Flames in the Hills, the torching of a Porsche. The narrative then moved to 2012. The fear escalated dramatically. Kid Cudi recounted the night his Porsche was set ablaze. It happened outside his Hollywood Hills home. A Molotov cocktail, he stated, was the cause. The image was stark, a luxury car, a symbol of success engulfed in flames. This was not a subtle warning, this was a brazen act of violence, an undeniable threat. He testified that this occurred shortly after his brief relationship with Cassie Ventura had ended, a relationship Combs fiercely disapproved of. Cootie stated his firm belief in the courtroom. He believed Sean Combs was behind the car bombing. The timing, the context, the ongoing sense of menace, it all pointed in one direction for him. He explained that he and Cassie Ventura had decided to split. They made this painful decision, he said, partly to protect him. To protect him from Diddy's potential retribution. The torching of his car seemed to confirm their worst fears. It was a terrifying validation. During his testimony, the prosecution displayed photographs, images of the charred remains of his Porsche. Section 6. Courtroom battles, evidence, objections, and a startling revelation. As Kid Cudi voiced his conviction that Sean Combs orchestrated the car bombing, the defense was quick to react. Brian Steele, Combs' attorney, rose to his feet. He lodged an immediate objection. Cudi's statement about Combs' involvement, Steele argued, was speculation. The judge sustained the objection. The bailiff instructed the jury to disregard Cudi's direct accusation of Combs' culpability for the fire. His answer was struck from the official record, a small victory for the defense, but the implication lingered. However, the prosecution had other ways to connect the dots. They reminded the court of Cassie Ventura's earlier testimony. Cassie herself had told the jury that Combs had explicitly threatened to set Kid Cudi's car on fire. She recounted Combs saying it would not be by his own hands. He allegedly said he would not even be in the country when it happened. This prior testimony provided crucial context. It lent weight to Cudi's suspicions, even if his direct statement was disallowed. Section 7. The Man in the Window. A chilling encounter with Combs. Kid Cudi's testimony took another dark turn. He described a subsequent meeting with Sean Combs. This encounter took place at a Los Angeles hotel, sometime after the car incident and the break-in. The atmosphere of this meeting, as Cudi recounted it, was deeply unsettling. Combs, he said, initially appeared calm. Too calm. He stood looking out the hotel window, his back to Cudi. Cudi described the posture, the demeanor as something out of a movie. He likened Combs to a Marvel supervillain. The description was vivid. It painted a portrait of a man exuding quiet menace, a powerful figure contemplating his next move. Cudi felt a chill. This was not a friendly meeting, it was a summons. He was in the presence of someone he believed had terrorized him. The power imbalance was stark. Section 8. Threads of fear, Cudi, Cassie, and a pattern of control. Kid Cudi's voice wavered with emotion as he spoke more broadly about Sean Combs' manipulation. It wasn't just isolated incidents of sabotage he described. It was a pervasive atmosphere of fear and control. He testified to the threats, both direct and implied, that he felt emanated from Combs' circle. These threats were designed to keep him in line, to punish him for his relationship with Cassie Ventura. He made it clear that his primary concern, even back then, was not just for himself, but also for Cassie. He spoke about Cassie Ventura's own accounts of abuse. Cudi testified that Cassie had told him about Diddy hitting and kicking her. Hearing this from her directly had deeply affected him. It contextualized the threats against him. It made him realize the danger she was in. Their decision to separate, he reiterated, was driven by a desire to protect him from Combs' wrath. But it was also born from a sense of helplessness in the face of Combs' alleged possessiveness and violence towards Cassie. Cassie Ventura's own harrowing testimony, delivered just days before Cudi's, echoed powerfully in the courtroom. She had detailed years of physical and emotional abuse by Combs. Section 9. The Unfolding Truth Testimonies Shake a Fallen Empire. Kid Cudi's testimony on May 22, 2025, sent shockwaves through the Diddy trial. His detailed emotional account added a significant layer to the prosecution's case against Sean Combs. The image of a torched Porsche and chilling encounters resonated deeply. They provided a personal perspective on the fear Combs allegedly instilled. This was more than celebrity drama. It was a stark look at the abuse of power. The significance of Cootie's testimony, especially with Cassie Ventura's revelations, cannot be overstated. Together, their stories painted a consistent and disturbing picture. They depicted Combs as a man who allegedly used his influence to control and silence people. Other witnesses, like former assistants, detailed everything from financial demands to observations of violence. Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. He faces a potential lifetime in prison if convicted on multiple federal counts. His defense team actively challenges the testimonies, highlighting inconsistencies. The trial is far from over. It is expected to continue for approximately 5 more weeks, with more witnesses yet to take the stand. The testimonies of Kid Cudi and Cassie Ventura represent courageous acts of speaking truth to power. They have given voice to experiences that were allegedly suppressed for years.
सारी वीडियोस को शेयर करने, चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करने, ठीक है दोस्तों, और अपने दोस्त नाल भी सारे वीडियोस को, सारे चैनल को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा शेयर करने, ठीक है। तो हुण भी नेक्स्ट तुसां मेरे व्लॉग तो बाद तुसां एक तनवीर गफूर फोक सिंगर दे आवाज़ दे विच सुन सो एक डोड़ा, ठीक है, जेड़ा इहदे विच वीडियो दे विच ही ऐड कीता गया, तां वीडियो को एंड तक लाजमी देख सो ताकि तुसां ओह डोड़ा भी सुन सको, ठीक है। एंड दे अपनी राय का इजहार कीती वैसो, ठीक है, अपनी कमेंट दे विच, ठीक है, अपनी राय का इजहार कीती वैसो कि सानू डोड़ा किवें लगे या नेक्स्ट डोड़ा अगर किसी फरमाइश होवे तां फरमाइश दे उत्ते डोड़े वगैरह गीत सॉन्ग वो भी बने सो, ठीक है। अगर कोई शायर साड़ी वीडियो को दे दे, ठीक है, तो कोई होए कि वो चढ़ना अपने शायरो शायरी या अपने पोइट्री, अपने गज़लां गीत सारे को रिकॉर्ड करवा सकते, ठीक है। मैं ख्वाब दिखे बने बनरिया, लई हथे पेरे में दी हम, है कट्ठी जन्म दे जागे दी बदिसेंगियां मेल बिल्हें दी हम हासिरते बोझण लावेंदा बदियाप मुबारखां देंदी हम निंद रुखड़िए मंजर क्या देखा